Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Untangled, episode 120. And it's really good to be here with you guys today on this Tuesday, March 18th. Grateful, 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 grateful to be alive, grateful to have this platform, grateful to have social media where we can connect all over the world. If you are here live, tell us where you're from, where you're connecting with us from. Where in the world are you? Hi, Paula. Hi, Ingrid. Norway. Um, Hi, Norway. The Netherlands. Colorado. I love Colorado so much. Greece and Scotland. Um, the East Coast of Canada. New Zealand. Hi, New Zealand. Germany. Seattle. I always love seeing where everyone's from. Portugal. Denmark. Barbados. Harry. We're jealous. Barbados sounds better than Michigan. Sorry, Michael. Michigan sounds a little cold. Slovenia. All right. Let's get going. For those of you that are brand new to Untangled, it's my weekly series that I do every Tuesday, 9 a.m. And we do this series to talk about the evolution in human consciousness. What's happening on the planet from an energetic perspective? What are we going through? How do we navigate it? And making it very human, very real, very simple. And that's my commitment to life. My commitment to this life, to this human journey, human life, is to just talk about what the real basic simplistic ways in which we are navigating an evolutionary shift in human consciousness. We can make it really difficult, really complex and quantum, and we can go through all the different rabbit holes, and quite simply, it's just this really miraculous and beautiful unfolding into the arms of God. If I were to write another book, I don't know, there's all kinds of books that I have in my mind to write. Um, One of them may be, in terms of this evolution in human consciousness, it could be as simple as unfolding into the arms of God, coming back home to you. And how that looks, and really peeling ourselves away from this idea of separateness, meaning um, the way through this is through a religion, or the way through this is through non-religion, new age spirituality. The way through this is that there is no God. The way through this is that you've got to be a nationalist. The way through this, right, that there are these ways through this, and you've got to find your way. You have to create some sort of community or label around how you navigate or see yourself through or in this shift in consciousness, right? A lot of times, if you find yourself in certain groups or communities, you may find yourself shifting out of those and finding yourself in another one, right? And the funny thing about that is we don't seem to understand that outside of all of these ways in which we need to find ourselves labeling how we go through it is actually how we're going through it. It's this breakdown of all the different groups and communities and lenses that we use. And we just start to peel that all back, like, wow, okay, there's that way, and there's that way, and there's that way, and there's, oh my gosh, and there's this way. And recognizing more and more as we become aware of all of these ways in which to navigate this incredible evolution in human consciousness, that you start to see that these ways are the division, these ways of doing it is the separation. These ways, not that that way of doing it is bad or that way of doing it is wrong, but the idea that this is the way and that isn't, that this is the right beliefs and those aren't, that when we continue to sort of stay in those ways of seeing the world or being in the world, it only keeps us more separate from God, which is the light of who you are. It's the light of this entire world, this entire everything that has ever existed. And the whole purpose of this evolution is twofold. One, it's to remember that we are aspects of this God, whatever God is to you. We are an aspect of it. Um, and we are in physical form playing this incredible character. As we peel back the layers, remembering that God created all of it, even the Bill Gates, right? All of it. And I'm moving through a physical and energetic shift, a physical and an energetic shift as an aspect of God in form, allowing me to recognize who I actually am, right? And this is what the evolution is all about. And so when we start to recognize and get closer and closer to whatever you want to call God, because there are, for some reason, real um, triggers when you use the word God, but I am going to use that word because it is encompassing the most miraculous feelings and experiences I've ever had. Um, but when we start realizing that God doesn't separate, this energy doesn't separate. It doesn't look down as the oneness that it is, knowing that it's all of this and say this should be happening and this shouldn't be happening, right? Um hold on a second. Um God doesn't look down and say like here's the right way and here's the wrong way. I think what is happening, at least for myself, my shift that I'm feeling right now personally is like, whoa, like I'm starting to see more and more um, this feeling of my heart opening or a compassion that I didn't get myself to, right? It's just happening. I'm choosing to allow it in. I'm choosing for the shift to happen. Um, and this may be happening to you. It's a real interesting shift because the fight goes away. It's almost like you're so exhausted that you're like, there's got to be something else here. And the exhaustion is also trying to get somewhere, trying to find yourself in some sort of spiritual state, trying to make sure you're not going to miss something, crossing your fingers that some sort of event starts to happen on the planet so we shift. Um, hoping that I don't miss out on 5D, right? All of this is all exhausting. It's all very, very exhausting. And humanity is going to get to, and I'm finding myself in this place of just exhaustion. I'm done. Even in teaching specific things, it's like, man, the best place I've ever felt in my life is where I am right now, which is no longer trying to teach how to get somewhere. It's all right here. So it's like inviting God into my life more, inviting Yeshua into my life more because for some reason he miraculously assists me in quite quantumly opening my heart, changing my entire life, my entire world, my entire being, my entire lens. and realizing it's no longer about the fight in this world, um, which is very difficult. And the majority of humanity will have a challenging time navigating this phase that we're in, um, because of the way in which the world is framed, the way in which this world, this third dimensional matrix is framed. The humility around being able to, the humbleness of being able to surrender to just how the world works and how it creates the illusions that we have. It's really important to humble ourselves to that, um, which means it's okay if I fight against things. It's okay if I am triggered by things. It's okay if I'm irritated, if I'm angry. It's okay if I work really, really hard and try to get up that corporate ladder, or I try to create the specific world that I want. Like, all of that's okay. It's all perfect, all of it. Because what's starting to happen is that in the midst of all of that, in every moment that we are in our lives, in these amazing, incredible human character lives, there is an opening and an opportunity to soften into compassion, to soften into an openness to kindness. And it is the next phase of human evolution. And this state of compassion will bring you to your knees in terms of surrendering to what is, allowing the beauty of life to be ugly and to be messy and to be difficult and to be challenging. Um, the humility that we are constantly searching for sensationalism, um, the the doom and gloom, or the gosh, please tell me that there's going to be some sort of spectacular event that's going to pull me out of right here. Please, I can't wait until this thing happens on the planet and there's one big solar flash and boom, we become what I've been craving for me to become. It's a very dangerous thing to do because you're denying what is. You're waiting for something to happen so that you don't have to be in what is. And so the piece around all of what we are digging our heels into more and more is the awareness that what if you just let go of all of it? Meaning, what if you let go of continuing to fight the fight, continuing to get to something, continuing to um, be in charge of where you're going or what it looks like? I think one of the hardest things humanity's also gonna come to terms with is that we're gonna have to get a s we can't we cannot do this on our own. This sentence, "We cannot do this on our own," like, we need God to come in, we need Yeshua to come in, we need these energies to come in, and I'm not talking about galactics. This is gonna be a very difficult thing, and a large percentage of humanity will not embrace this for years to come. But this planet is too programmed. It's way too programmed, mind controlled, manipulated for us to do it on our own, meaning that we know what's best, that we have all the answers, that we can see through the nonsense, that we can discern, that we are in charge. And the what I have come to recognize in my own life in the last year and a half, but very much so in the last couple of months, is that the I that thinks she knows how to do all of this, the one that thinks she's healed, aligned, connected, is still the one that needs to get out of the way. And to start to really recognize that in my own life, that wait a second, something bigger than me. There's an aspect of that in me, but something much bigger than me. I'm playing a role. I'm a tiny aspect of this overarching light that is God, that is way more intelligent than me right now. Why? Because I'm humble enough to be humble to say, I still am in the illusion. I still have massive thoughts that control my mind and my behavior and my lens. I still have mind control. I still have patterns and behaviors that are going to lead me to think things or to do certain things. I still will be on the wheel of healing if I allow it to be so, thinking that somehow there will be a moment where I will no longer need to heal, which is just not true. If you're on the wheel of healing, you'll always find something to heal. That's the human condition. And so the more I started realizing, wow, Lori Ladd, the one that plays the character Lori Ladd cannot get herself to this state of being that all of humanity is reaching or moving towards unless I get out of the way. And I getting out of the way does not mean me trying to find my soul or even me trying to connect to something. It's literally recognizing that I have to let go and I have to let something else come into my field, come into my space, come into my world, come in. Which for me originally was Jesus, was Yeshua, and through that was God. And again, people are gonna get riled up or triggered by this because, there we have been told that we are God, and of course we're God, everything's God. But you are an aspect of God that has been infiltrated with deep programming. You have a mind. God doesn't have a mind. You have trauma. God doesn't have trauma. You have deep programming, God doesn't. So no matter how much we wanna believe, "No, I am God and I am the most empowered and I have all the answers here," we're gonna have to start to wake up to this realization that unless we actually tap into and bring in, connect into God that is out there, whatever you wanna call it, source, whatever it is, but that something else needs to help us right now, we will find ourselves continuing to do a few things. One, keep being in the loop that something's wrong with me and I need to fix and heal and do all these things, which just keeps you in that loop out of your actual natural state, which is deep compassion, forgiveness, love, humility, openness, right? So it's going to keep you there. Or you're going to keep wishing or hoping for, or I can't wait until this happens, or this is going to happen, or I'm going to eventually get there on any aspect of your life, relationship, financial, spiritual. And so there's that search, right? Which is another trap that's extremely detrimental. So God is constantly wanting us to realize that it's in the right here, right now, the deep humility to your human experience, the deep humility of being human, that you can't get out of being the human character. And there's no amount of meditation or courses or classes or teachings that you can take that are going to pull you out of the difficulty and challenge of being in the human experience. Right? There's no mistakes, right? Like every fire you find yourself in is the fire that you're supposed to be in. Every struggle you find yourself in is the struggle you're supposed to be in. Every valley that you're in is the valley you're supposed to be in. The evolution in human consciousness is not to say there should be no more fires or no more valleys. The kingdom of heaven, the Garden of Eden, is to have peace and to have compassion and to have openness and to have forgiveness and to have love for everything that is arising in your life and in the lives of humanity. That is heaven on earth. Not, these emotions shouldn't be here. These people shouldn't be doing these things. This shouldn't happen. When God starts to shine its light down into you and onto you in ways that you never imagined possible, guess what happens? You start to light up and shift. And you start to look out at the world and realize, my God, this is the kingdom of heaven right here. Every single freaking person is incredible. How can I tell them that? How can I love them? How can I let them know how spectacular they are? How can I remind them that their pain isn't them? Then you start realizing what we're doing here. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if you find yourself in struggle. If you open up the bills and it's like, oh, the hospital bill wants $5,000. You're just like, oh, okay, that's how the world works. That's what we're doing. Can't pay that. I'll figure out what I'm going to do. You start softening. When you start inviting God into your life, and I'm not talking about some man that's standing on the pearly gates of heaven saying, you've been bad, so you can't come in. I'm talking about the omnipresent light of everything that ever is, was, and will be, that is so indescribable, it drops you to your knees. And when you feel worthy enough to be able to start letting that in, that it is not about you being it, because your ego is still going to get in the way. But you let something in. You let yourself be loved unconditionally. You let yourself feel this unconditional worthiness that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to change a single thing. And you are so deeply loved that it will bring you to your knees. And just pay attention if you are listening to this right now, you saying, I can do that on my own. I am that. I am that I am, right? I am that. Of course you are. But the percentage of you that actually believes that is small. Because why? You have a lot of subconscious or unconscious deep programming within you, whether you see it or not, that will stop you from truly allowing this omnipresent essence of God to start to emanate from you and emanate into you, speak through you, use your vessel to speak. There is something so profound that will happen when you start to let go of you being the one that's in charge. Especially, I mean, on all kinds of levels in your life. And the fight with that, I mean, I've been there. I would say that the hardest, the most difficult shift I've had with regards to completely surrendering into what was next in my life was continuing to hear God and to continuing to hear Yeshua say, you're not in control. You're not in control, Lori. You have to let me show you. You have to let me do this for you. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Absolutely not. Like, I'm good. I can figure this out. I can connect. I can follow flow. I can do this. I can do it. And because I have chosen and I keep choosing to commit my life to God every day, and the more that I am in this, the deeper I'm committing to God. The more I do that, the more I will be shown situations that I can't get out of, where I realize my patterns. I realize um, the deep programmed thoughts. It's almost like it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I can do this. Why is this happening to me again? I've got to figure this out. Why is this happening? Why is it? I shouldn't be in this again, right? It's like Lori trying to do it all, Lori trying to figure it out. Once again, Lori's in this. Once again, Lori's in that abandonment pattern. Once again, Lori is running from this or that. Once, right? And you notice it. I noticed it. And then I heard this voice, you're going to hand it over? You want to serve humanity from that aspect of God using your vessel? Yeah. Why are you controlling this? Well, I don't know if you can do this. I don't even know who you are. I don't know what's talking to me. I don't trust you. Okay. Do you wanna just maybe ask if I can help? No. No, I don't. Okay. These are real conversations I've had. Nope, I'm not going to. Okay, good. That's fine. I'm right here. I love you no matter what. I think you're incredible. I'm just gonna sit right here. So I have my temper tantrums, right? And I dig my feet in and I notice I'm just spinning my wheels. It's just the same old, same old. Figure out some sort of way to get through it. I get myself through it sort of, but it still pops up in another way. And so then God says, "Okay, I'm going to drop you into it even more." So now I feel even more abandonment or even more of patterning comes up. And then he says, "Okay, do you want to hand it to me?" And it gets so bad that I say, "Okay." It got so bad I said, "Yeah, I'm handing it to you." And I would call Yeshua in and I would call God in. And what I would feel would be this deep humbling because whatever I was experiencing and being tortured and suffering in was immediately taken away. It was just gone. Gone. The moment I invited Yeshua in, the moment I invited God in, my suffering and struggle started to dissolve immediately. And because I felt in those moments this divinity, this divine, unconditional, peaceful, holy cow love, uh, I would just start crying. It is a love that is indescribable and you almost don't feel worthy of it. And so it breaks you down. You start to you cry. When I start to really feel the essence of God, and I feel it tremendously when I connect to Yeshua. When I feel it, and I've been feeling it more and more, and it's because I let go. It's because I surrendered. It's because I said, "Here, help me, please help me. I'm done trying to pretend that I've got this all figured out, that I'm in 5D and I know how to do this and I connect to all these." I'm done. I'll play the human character, but I would really love for you to show me how to do this with love, compassion, kindness, empathy, openness, spaciousness. And it's a whole other level of being that has taken over my life. And it keeps wowing me. And not in this like I'm in a high vibe. Quite the opposite. I feel very human. I feel very heavy. I'm walking around and I feel very almost I don't know the word. Like I feel like who I was, like the outgoing, funny, goofy Lori is not there anymore. Even though I know I'm there. I know she's there. I also feel very different and I'm not trying to. I just feel very different. Stoic almost. Just sort of stoic. Not in a bad way. I don't know if that's the right word, but and not at all irritated with the world or frustrated with the world. I just feel so much compassion right now for the world and for humanity. It's almost like I'm feeling more and more the pain. And in that feeling of the pain of the world, it just quiets me now. It softens me and it's like every person that I get to come in contact with, this is going to sound so crazy, you guys, but it's like I'm so grateful. I'm like, "Oh my God, like, hi." That's how it's like strange. Like, "You're so incredible." Like, "Oh my goodness, like, I hope you can feel my love." And again, I'm not this is not something I'm praying to have more love or more compassion or more I'm not praying for that. I'm literally just praying for God to use me as a vessel. I'm handing my life to God, and I keep doing it, and this is what's happening. I don't everything's just changing, and all I can do is share with all of you that wanna hear it and that wanna listen this experience, because when it starts happening to you, or if you would like it to start happening to you, you can invite it in. It can be as simple as inviting God in, inviting Yeshua in, and not from this religious, dogmatic system, but from this curiosity. And I mean, why not? What else do you have to lose? I'm sure you've done every course under the book. I'm sure you've paid every teacher all kinds of money. I'm sure you have, uh, you know, worked on yourself on every level. I'm sure that you are trying so hard to be a specific way. You're trying to be positive, or you're trying to stay in some sort of vibration, or you're trying to have certain thoughts, or you are trying so hard to be a specific way, and God just wants you to know, my friend, my son, my daughter, you are freaking perfect. At this point in the game, stop trying to keep fixing and changing. Stop suffering, stop struggling. What if God, where it was this voice that came down and said, I sincerely am holding you. I've got you. Like, I've got you. All the solutions you're looking for, all the answers you're looking for, all of that still gets to be here. But if you invite me in, I can hold you in a way, I can walk you through this in a way that will change your life. Everything about you, inside of you, will change. And not because you're moving yourself into some vibration. That's just happening naturally. You're not in charge of that as much as you really want to be in charge of keeping a high vibration. Greatest gift you could possibly give yourself is to start talking to something that is bigger than you, which is God. Whatever you think that is, whatever you feel that to be. When we talk about when the planet talks about Christed consciousness, Christ consciousness is God consciousness, which is heart consciousness, which is love, which is unity, which is unconditionality. It's the God consciousness. And there is a deep, deep part of me that really believes that the more we try to do this on our own, the more we are missing the point of this Christed consciousness, this God consciousness. That there has to be some sort of moment in our path of awakening where we realize we pop and we realize, holy shit. And I guarantee you, every master that has ever walked this planet has come to this realization. They get to a point where they have to let go. Their ego lets go, their awareness lets go. They let go and they hand it over to that which has always been here. I can almost guarantee it. And when they get to that point, that threshold where they finally say, "Okay, I hand it over, I give it up." That's when the awareness they've been fighting for opens within them. That's when the God that you are starts to become alive within you. It's like we have to get to this place where that controlled egoic aspect of us burns so bright or burns so bad, like it just burns to the ground, burns to ashes, not because you're trying to burn it. I'm having another, night of the soul, or my ego had another ego death. Like, this is on a level that you don't want to do it. You now just have to, right? Like, it's not a choice almost. It has to happen. And a lot of people get to that level through really horrific things happening in their lives. It gets so bad that they can't do it on their own anymore, and so they do hand it over, and that's when a lot of people's lives, they really change, right? They have a different when a lot that's why near death experiences are so profound for people, is because they literally realize, holy shit, I'm not in control down here. There is something so much bigger that's happening. They get to feel that separation of like, wow, holy cow. And then when they come back down, they know what's here. They've felt it. They felt God. They realized what this was all about. And so they were able to connect into that while here. It's almost like the light can't turn on your wall or in your house without it being connected into the wall, the socket. So as much as that lamp has that capacity and it has a light bulb, and you're looking at it and you're like, "Dude, it's got light. Duh. It's an aspect of the light. Just figure out how to turn your light on. You just gotta figure it the lamp just needs to figure out how to turn the light on. Just sit there and meditate just bring yourself into turning the light on. It's impossible. You have to plug it into the source. If you don't plug into that source and you don't realize that it is that source that gives you the light, what's the point? You're just gonna sit there and literally in suffering trying to figure out how to turn the light on. And most of us, especially if you're in the spiritual community, we don't like thinking, "Oh, I've gotta actually plug into a source bigger than me first, that's outside of me first, before the light turns on, because I am God. I'm God. I'm gonna do it all." How has that worked for us? The evolution in human consciousness is recognizing that there is this God around us that is so freaking profound that you came from, that you're an aspect of, and it has this capacity to literally bring peace, compassion, humility, abundance, ease into your life in miraculous freaking ways that have nothing to do with the communities that you're in. Has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with galactic beings. It has nothing to do with UFOs. It has nothing to do with the foods you eat. It has nothing to do with it. All it wants is for you to recognize you've just got to take that cord, plug it into the wall, and realize that as soon as you plug that cord into the wall, as soon as you plug it into the source of everything, you will turn on. And you will be humbled by the awareness that you've been trying so freaking hard to turn it on inside. And you've been pretending and trying and playing that game, and it's fucking exhausting. Excuse my language. It is freaking exhausting. My God, it's exhausting. It's not meant to be. It's not. It's not meant to be argumentative, tiring, frustrating, efforting. It's meant to just be so simple, like, wow, you mean I can just sit here and be connected and still be in the room and still have all the different experiences that I'm gonna have as a lamp in a room, whatever that may be. If the wind comes in, if the light comes in from the sun, if it gets cold, if it gets hot, I'm still just the lamp in the room. You're still just the human standing on the planet. Everything's gonna happen. The Garden of Eden, heaven on earth doesn't mean that what's happening on the planet shouldn't be happening. Your role right now on the planet as these evolutionary bodies is to recognize that God is trying to get your attention outside of you so that you can chill the freak out and begin to live in very different ways while you are in a massive evolutionary chaotic shift in consciousness where people are going to suffer and struggle while they find their way back home. And it's a beautiful gift to begin to have that kind of compassion for humanity. The more you feel that compassion within yourself, the more you have it for others. And you realize that people are just being the character, they're just trying really hard. And it's okay. It's like this pop that happens, and then you realize why everybody's doing everything they're doing. Everyone's doing everything they're doing to just simply plug themselves back into source, to God. All the ayahuasca trips, all the drugs, all the food addictions, all the relationships that we get addicted to, all of it deep down, unconsciously, is just to plug ourselves back into God. And so I leave you with some simple ways, right? Some simple ways to do this that worked for me. If it resonates, great. And if it doesn't resonate, don't do it. One, I just started committing to inviting God back into my life. Actually, it was Yeshua, but in inviting Yeshua back into my life, God started to come into my life in bigger ways. So for me, Yeshua is a bridge. Yeshua is this more human um, aspect that I can connect easier to than God. It can be difficult to connect straight to God for me. Again, realizing if you have the humility to recognize that maybe this is something that's outside of you first that will turn you on, meaning it will light you up. What does that look like or mean? And can you even do it? And the fight against that. But what happens if you do try something different and you do ask for something bigger than you to come in to show you, and not something that is omnipresent, something that truly is bigger than the human character you're playing. And it is bigger than, it's like a big fire and you're an ember. So you belong to the fire, but the fire is much bigger than you. And that's just part of this human experience. That is the reality of this human experience. We're all these little aspects of God. But that overarching omnipresent God is so much more beyond your experience of God in form right now. Because again, you have this mind, you have programming and conditioning, you have massive mind control, whether you believe it or not. Deep, deep traumas, not just from this lifetime, from multiple lifetimes. And so the humility of that, like, okay, so what? What, you're gonna keep healing and healing and healing and healing and healing and healing, thinking that somehow all this stuff that you're doing is eventually gonna connect you in? What if you just went straight to the source and said, "God, help me." And for those of you that want a little bit of a bridge, ask Jesus to come in and help you, and see how that may trigger you. It's a big trigger. Um, but this is not about Christianity or Catholicism. It's not about any religion. It's about this incredible man that's like, "Yo, I can very easily help you understand the next shift in consciousness if you just call me in. I get it. There's all these stories about me, and there's all this trauma from people that have been raised in these religious communities. I so get it. And also, it's okay to be in the religious communities, right? Um, None of that matters to him. It's like, just call on me. He doesn't care what community you come from. He really doesn't. God doesn't care, because God's just all of it. It's like, yo, bring me in. It's so crazy to me that we are in a culture, we are in a phase in humanity right now where we really want the entertainment. We want the big fireworks, you know? All I say to you is, if you want your life to change, and then you wanna go out and help other people's lives change by bringing more compassion and ease to them, if you really want that right now in your life and you're suffering or you're struggling, or you're just sick of it, you're tired of it, instead of trying to figure out, all the different energies on the planet and all the different astrology things that are happening, and all the different frequencies and what dimension I'm in and what galactic beings are coming down, and that's all fine and dandy, but it's not gonna get you out of the deep states of suffering. What if you allowed for all of that, still hung out and did all that stuff, but you just started inviting God into your life? And not only into your life, but asking God for help. So when you're in your darkest moments, when you're in anxiety or stress or worry or depression, and instead of turning on somebody on YouTube or turning on a teacher, what if you turned on God? And why is it that you may have a, a trigger to turning on God, but you don't have a trigger turning on a different teacher? You'll listen to another teacher, but you won't listen to God. You'll ask another teacher's advice, but you won't ask God. You'll follow another teacher, but you won't follow God. You'll do whatever a different teacher says, or if they tell you to do dot, 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 you'll do that, but you won't ask God. Go to God. Just go straight to God. And if you commit to that, if you ask over and over, and then you listen to your resistance, find your favorite teacher you like to listen to, or your favorite self-help teacher, or whoever that is, right? And you'll go to them and you'll listen to them. You trust them. You really trust them. So when they say certain things, you're like, man, like a Mel Robbins or a Brene Brown or something, right? You're like, man, they give such great advice. I'm struggling in this relationship. I'm going to go listen to Matthew Hussey, right? He's awesome with relationships. You go to these certain people and you ask them for the advice, or you listen to their advice and you take it and it helps you. Now, on top of all that, why don't you just go straight to God? You'll say, I can't hear God. It's easy to hear these people. And I will say, I promise you, you'll hear God. I promise you, you'll hear God. Start talking, start asking. And if you need a little bit of help going straight to God and you don't have a big trigger around Jesus, invite Jesus in and then everything will change. Invite Yeshua in and then really let your life change. Because when you invite Yeshua in, he bridges the gap. He bridges the gap. I have this amazing I, I, I'm okay with people unfollowing me, and no, I'm okay with everything that happens from this point forward as I become more and more open about my experience. I'm just okay with it because I am. I've never been at more peace in my life. I've never been more calm. I've never had more love for this entire human experience, and I'm all in. I will go through hell and back again and again to keep committing to this and to living this and to feeling this, and to sharing it with all of you that are um, ready to hear it and want to hear it. um, I am all in. But I have this photo I want to share with you guys before I go. It's a Yeshua photo, so close your eyes um, if you're if you're triggered. But I got this picture of Yeshua. I don't know if you can see it. Um, there. And he has his hand kind of like, I've like, grab my hand. You're drowning, grab my hand. Why not? Why not? Well, because you believe in sin, Jesus, and you believe in this. Well, what if you threw all of that away, right? And what if you just asked? Like when you're struggling, when you're depressed, when you're scared, when you're anxious, when you've got that anxiety, what if for just one moment you imagined this? Okay? And you imagined that you looked up and you put your hand out And you can have all those thoughts that come in of like, I don't believe you. I don't even know who you are. You've been this weird figure in history. You're kind of, no, you're going to tell me that I'm sinning and this and that. And, or imagine that that's God reaching out its hand. It could be a woman. It doesn't have to be a man's figure, but it's got to be Yeshua's energy. What happens if you do that? That something really does want to help. But you got to be humble and willing to let your thoughts say, nope, no way, right? All the things that come up. But if you do it, and if you start doing it, it will change your life. It will change your life. And the only reason I'm saying that, and the only reason I know that to be true, is because I've been watching it happen in my own life. If it can happen in my life, it can happen in your life. I went out yesterday and went to the mall with my mom. Well, I went out to eat lunch, and then I went to the mall to go try to find an outfit for my event in Dublin. And I had just been secluded in my house for 4 straight days doing my Walking with Yeshua class. So, I literally did not leave my house for 4 days except to get coffee. I was just so entrenched in the energies of God and Yeshua. I was not super happy. I was going through a weird transitional feeling. It was almost like, am I depressed? Like, what is this? I would get done teaching the class and then I would take a shower and get into bed. And there was just this real intense energetic like frequency shift I could feel happening in my cells that I wasn't asking for. I could just feel God coming closer. I could feel Yeshua integrating more in my life, and I didn't necessarily, like I said, like it. I didn't it I something it didn't feel like I was in this high vibe, blissful love state. It wasn't like that. It was just like this shift happening that I couldn't control and I didn't understand, and it was making me feel like something was happening that I wasn't in control of. Anyway, I went out and I was engaging in the world, and I felt very quiet, but I felt very loving. But I wasn't boisterous. I wasn't loud. I wasn't opinionated. Um, I was lighter. And I just remember seeing humans and just being like, God, I can't believe I love these humans. It was like I was on a drug. It almost felt like I was on a drug. Um, but I'm not. And my mom and I walked into the dressing room, and there was this beautiful older woman standing there on the platform of, in Nordstrom's, there's like a platform that you can stand on and you get your alterations. And she's standing there and she's this older woman. She's got long gray hair. She had this beautiful dress on. And literally, she took my breath away. I was like, oh my God, you're beautiful. I was literally like, I just stopped and I was like, "Oh my god, you look so beautiful." That is like, and I was honest. I couldn't believe how much love I had for this woman, and I wanted to just stand there and give her, like, space to be seen. She didn't ask for it. She probably thought I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I just I had so much love for her, and I was noticing at the same time, like, what I was feeling and that this wasn't normal for me. Like, I don't normally do that. I normally just walk in, say, "Hey," and then go into my dressing room. I'm friendly, but I would never do or feel the way I felt. And then I was standing there with the woman that was helping us get our clothes, and I wanted to just spend time with her. I just wanted to be with her. It was so weird. I wanted to ask her questions, and I was just so I wanted to just love her, like give her love, I don't even know. It was this, and then when we were walking through and all the different people that worked there, it was like, I felt like I wanted them to know how loved they were. And what's so interesting about what I'm sharing right now, and I do have to go because it's 10 o'clock. But what's so interesting about what I'm feeling right now, which I'm not trying to feel, and which is deeply integrated in me. It doesn't feel like a phase. I feel like this has been kind of working itself into me. What's interesting about this is a year and a half ago, April 2023, I was starting to do an awareness practice. So I was starting to practice awareness. So I would sit for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, close my eyes, and just start connecting to awareness. Um, and that I am awareness. And a couple of times throughout that practice, over about 6 or 7 months, there was a couple of times where I felt this essence of God. And one of the times I was at a Starbucks, and my friend and I had just been practicing awareness. So we had just been in that state for about 30 minutes, closing our eyes, just being I am, I'm aware of thought, I'm aware of pain, I'm aware of my body, I'm aware of, right? It kind of brings you into this separated state. And I remember opening my eyes and feeling what I feel now back then. And it only lasted about 10 minutes. But I remember looking around and having tears in my eyes because I was realizing how beautiful everyone was and how amazing each human was. And I remember saying to my friend, "My God, I want to go tell that woman how incredible she is, that she's absolutely incredible." And I remember the feeling, it was the most incredible feeling ever. And I wanted to hold on to it, right? But it just left. I went back into Lori the human. And the last couple of weeks, that feeling state has been integrating deeper and deeper into me. It's been coming deeper and deeper into me. And yesterday, without me trying to do anything, in fact, more than anything, I was just sort of like, I am stoic. I'm not I don't feel like I'm in this world anymore in the same way. So it wasn't like I was like, yes, I am bliss and love and light. Wasn't like that. It was just It's just this hmm, but I felt that same way I did in April of 2023 with everyone, and it didn't go away. It hasn't gone away, it's still here. It's it's an integrated piece of me that's slowly becoming more and more integrated, and why I'm sharing this with you is because this is the evolution in human consciousness. This is where we're going, and I'm not at all saying I am, uh, you know, the no, there's 1,000 different ways of experiencing it, ways of moving through it, all of that. I'm just sharing that this is absolutely an aspect of the evolution in human consciousness. This is a bazillion percent of what humanity is going to start integrating and experiencing and embodying, however they get there. This is our natural state, and we're going to start feeling this more and more and more and more. And more. And this feeling state I've been having doesn't mean I'm not irritated. It doesn't mean that I don't get upset. It doesn't mean that I don't have relationship issues. It doesn't mean that things are perfect. It means that beyond all of that, there is this state of awareness that I'm starting to experience that has opened my heart, i.e., opened me into this vulnerable, authentic way of experiencing humanity that I'm sure has just touched the iceberg. Just the just touched the iceberg of or just the tip of the iceberg, right? Of what is to come for us. All of this to just say, if it resonates, Stop trying to fix yourself. Stop trying to heal yourself. Just stop for a moment. And do you feel worthy enough to just ask for assistance and ask specifically assistance from God and assistance from Yeshua? In all your resistance, in all of your annoyance, in all of your irritability, perhaps, just play with me for a moment. Start asking and see what happens. It will change your life. Tip of the light bulb. Exactly. I love you guys very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. Um, And if you're gonna be in Dublin this Sunday, I will see you in Dublin, Ireland. We do have tickets still, so if you're in the Dublin, Ireland area and you wanna come join me this Sunday, March 23rd, I'll leave the link down below to get tickets. And thank you for being here. Sending you so much love, and my prayer is that you open to more ease. My prayer is that you open to more compassion. My prayer is that any suffering or any struggle that you have is dissolved, it's released, that God comes in, that Yeshua comes in and shows you that you're worthy. You are worthy of no longer thinking that you have to do this on your own. And and just maybe us letting go creates quite a miraculous life. I love you. See you next Tuesday.